Okay. So hope you are all able to view the screen. Okay. So for this session, today's session, as you're all muted, but you can please use the question section and chat to provide your inputs in between, and whatever questions you are raising in, we would have a look into that once we come into the end of the session. Okay. So last week we had a demo session just to provide how the PMP looks like, and you have all would have viewed that in your in the video recording which we have provided on the site. So today is to actually demo you, to walk through how the session would look like, how the actual training would look like, and what PMP looks like. Okay, so without wasting much of the time, I'm going to start the session for PMP. Okay, so this project management professional, the team members who have joined in the session, you would have listened to this word from many of your friends, many of your colleagues would have taken the exam, and you might be interested to know what is PMP, what does it have, or probably you already know about the exam. So it's a vast exam of 200 questions, as we all know, but how does it help? If I take this exam, does it really help me? Does it really help my professional career? Being a man, do I need to be a project manager to take this session, take and write the exam, or do I need to be a QA lead, QA manager, or a developer who can take this exam? So all these questions might be coming in. So without answering that directly, I would like you to walk through to see what this exam consists of, what this certification consists of. And based on that, you can judge yourself to see if for what you are eligible for. Okay, if it makes sense to take this exam and see that you are able to improve yourself, or in terms of your career or your professional life or the personal life. So how does this certification provide you the support in your management skills? Okay, improving your management skills. So for that, to understand the certification, we need to basically understand few things. If you're talking about project management, the first question would be, what is a project? And once we understand what is a project, then we have to look into how it will be managed. What are the processes required? What are the various activities which make up a project, right? So let's walk through that, and based on that, you can take a decision if you are doing projects in your day-to-day life or in your professional career, and if this certification will provide you that emphasis of taking the certification, and if whatever investment you are doing in the certification will add a value add. Okay, so we will walk through the slides as a recap to these, but I would like to go through this, what is project and what are the project management activities, in a very simple manner to explain. Okay, so what is a project? Yep, this is a question. So what is a project? We are trying to see what is project management. So what is a project? Is it Is it like most of you are from IT industry, so you would see that people want to install a software. Your manager comes in and says that, look at my laptop. Something happened to my laptop. It's not working. So you go and try to reboot, which is a simple method, and it starts working. So is that considered a project? Rebooting your laptop, is that considered as a project? Yep, that's one thing. Let's see something else. Let's say you're building a software, okay, or you're building a website, okay. So building website would have its own requirements. So for what you're building your website, okay, and what is the scope of that website? Is it for your company? Is it for your personal use, or is it for your in the company, it's internal use, or is it external use? So based on that, based on the requirements, your team starts building, the development team starts building, and the testing team would start testing it, and ultimately it would be released to production. So once it is released to production, so is that considered a project? Okay. Coming to real-time example, coming to our real-time world, like not considering your professional IT career, let's take a very simple example.
Your screen is still frozen on slide 1. I'm not sure if you have moved on to an Excel sheet.
Okay. I'm so sorry. That's so strange.
Let me ask you this question. Have you clicked on show my screen, and is it in a play mode or in a pause mode? I would recommend you can click on that. Yeah, now we can see.
Okay. Possibly when I minimized it, it just is it okay now?
Yes. So you may want to show that agenda slide once again, or what are you doing, and probably then you could get on to your Excel.
Yeah, sure. So as I explained, so we will be looking at the project definition, and then the various process groups associated to, and what are the activities on a high level which make up the project. Okay. So as we were looking at the examples of IT industry, like rebooting your laptop, okay, rebooting your laptop, or building a website. Now coming to a live example, a real-time world. So let's say you want to construct your home, okay, so building your house, okay. So is this considered a project? Or consider something like you're just meeting your friends, okay, is that considered a project? Or you're planning a vacation, okay, so is that considered a project? Okay, so in all these examples, what is a project? Project basically is something which has a definite start and a definite end to it. Okay, in any scenario, wherever you see that you have a definite start to the task and definite end, then that will be considered as a project. And it has to result into a unique product. Okay, so we are saying that It should have a definite start and end to it. And we are saying that it should create a unique product or some service or a end result. Okay, so now let's look at our examples. So rebooting laptop, it's a day-to-day activity. Let's say today you fix the problem and tomorrow your manager faces the problem again, or someone from your team faces the problem again. So you reboot your laptop again. So basically, if you face any system issue, the first thing you do is you call your call center if you're in office, or you call your services and say that, okay, my laptop has so and so issue. So all those operating activities will not be considered as a project. Okay, so that's not a project. Now building a website. So building a website, it has a start is identifying the requirements for the website, and the end product is a website. So it is creating a unique product, right? So this will be qualified to be a project. Okay, but once the site is built, there would be regular maintenance which will be going on. So that regular maintenance is not considered a project anymore. So any activity which you are doing will start as a project and then it would turn to a BAU, business as usual. Okay, so BAU is nothing but your operations. Okay, so we have to understand that difference. So something which starts building a website, and then once the website is done, whatever enhancements it's required, that would be your business as usual, which is operations. And it can have new projects again within that. Like the website is built, let's say it is your company home website. Now for that, they want to add an address book, okay, or they want to add different locations of your company, which was not there in the initial website. So that itself qualifies to be a separate project. But once the project is completed, so what is the unique product created is that addition of corporate address book and addition of the buildings would form that additional activities which would be into the website, but they will be done as different projects. But once the activity is completed, once it reaches its end stage, the project is completed. Okay, now let's come to a real-time example. That's building my house. Okay, you're planning to build your house. So for that, what is my unique product? My unique product is my house. Once it is built, I have my house before me. So that's the result of my project. So that it itself qualifies to be a project. Okay, so that qualifies to be a project. Indeed, you see that, let's say you are buying an apartment. Okay, buying an apartment as well, for that you do several tasks. Okay, so we will move into that in the next thing. But on a high level, when you are buying an apartment, you still browse through so many apartments, and there are look-alike projects, look-alike apartments in the same building. So does it qualify to be a project? Yes, still, because once you buy your apartment, you would remodel it as per your requirement, right? So that still qualifies to be a project. So as we say unique product, that doesn't mean that every project should always result into a single different product. No. It means that there are some differences in whatever work is done for the project. There is some difference. There can be similar products, but the way the project is run is different. Everyone has their own requirements, which makes it as a unique product. Okay, so that's a project. Now coming to the other example, meeting your friends. So if it is a casual meeting, so you meet your friends, you chit chat and you come down, so there is no specific project which will come out as outcome, because you're just discussing with your friends, you're talking with your friends. So it doesn't qualify to be a project. But let's say you're planning a vacation with your friends, right? So for planning your vacation, you're talking to your friends, you're doing the same activities like meeting your friends, but you have a definite plan there. And your unique product is your complete vacation plan. You go to a place, reach your destination, and then you plan out your activities there. And once you complete your activities, you're back again. So that qualifies to be a project. Okay, so that is what is, as we see, a project is basically both in your IT industry or any kind of industry. Every industry has its own projects, which has a definite start and end, and all the real-time activities in our personal life, what we see, can also be categorized into a project. Okay, so in order to do this, in order to execute this project, so what should I do? How do I execute the project? How do I build the project? Okay, let's say the example of, I would take an example of, let's say you want to drive to your friend's place, or you are planning your vacation. Okay, let's take up the vacation plan. Okay, so first thing is, what do we do for your vacation? You first browse through, right? You browse through so many sites or any other related information, and you discuss with your friends, meet your friends, and you say that, let's plan for a vacation. I have few vacation ideas, so let's go through that. Let's plan for a vacation. So you're initiating something. You're saying that, let's plan for the vacation, and I think I have a plan for that. You say that. So that is called initiation of the project. Okay, so once you initiate, then now you say that, okay, I have high level details with me. I browse through, I have few places. I have said whether we want to do it within like less miles, we want to travel to some other destination, we want to take a flight, we want to go by road. So whatever is the planning, right? And on that, first decide which place you want to choose. Okay, then decide on how do you want to travel. Okay, and then we say that what all we need to travel, okay, what are the basic minimum accessories which we have to take with us, who are the participants, right, and then who are all coming with us, and then planning for planning the complete schedule, and then booking and all that. So all this planning, everything which is planned to complete the project is done in the planning group. Okay, so that just corresponds to your plan. You initiated, you said yes, let's go for vacation, and now you're planning what the travel, how much does it cost, where do we want to go, how do we want to go, everything is planning. Now once we plan, the next step is obviously execution. So execution is you reach your destination, right? You reach your vacation destination, and there you start your vacation plan. The way you have planned, the same thing would be executed in the executing phase. Okay, so whatever execution you are doing is all in the execution phase. And once you have finished, actually I should not say finished, but okay, let's take up the finish. So you completed your vacation, and now you have closed. You want to finish your vacation. So when even in the closing phase, so what you do, whatever amount or the cost which was paid, or you have to pay back to your hotel, you have to pay back your credit cards, and you're planning with your friends, or if you call team members, you try to collate all your cash amounts which you have spent, and try to see how it gets distributed between your team members of that particular vacation. So all those activities, okay, so all that activities in the closing phase. Okay, so closing phase also has its own activities. Okay, and most important of all this, initiation, plan, execute, and then your closing activities, while you're doing all these 4 activities, right, the major 4 activities, you need to look at so many things. You need to monitor, you need to control your budget, control your activities. People would say, okay, let's plan for 5 places within the vacation plan. Is that possible? So in the initiation phase, and then in the planning phase, you try to see how much budget do I have, how many people are going to come, so how do we pick each person, how the destination would affect, is there any problem there, is the destination safe, and if not, do we need to, or is there any problem with in regards to health, so do I need to take something with me? So all those monitoring and controlling the project activities, right? So all that is considered as your monitoring. Okay, monitor and control. So what do you control? The cost of and whatever is the scope. So we are saying that we are defined to like only 5 places to see per day. Okay, so that forms your scope of your vacation plan. And then what is the risk in undertaking that vacation plan? Is there any risk if I go to some place? If I do a bungee jumping, can I do that? Because it's there in that place. Okay, or any kind of risk. So for that risk, you have to have your risk mitigation plan or a contingency plan. So all that monitoring and control would go hand in hand with each of these phases. Okay, so this monitor and control will be throughout your project life. Okay, so when you start, you plan and execute, and then you close the project. So throughout these activities, you will be consistently monitoring and controlling your activities. Okay, so these initiation, planning, execution, monitor and control, close, these 5 are termed as process groups. Okay, so they are all termed as your process groups, which are required to complete your project. So as we said, a project has a start and a definite end to it. So that is what the start is initiation and end is you're closing the activity. Okay, so these form your process groups. For completing now for each of these process groups, okay, so I'm initiating the project. So what do I need to do to initiate the project? Whether it is my IT project, like building a website, whether it is my real-time project, personal project, building a house. So for any of these tasks, if I have to initiate the project, or if I have to plan, and if I have to execute it, that is where the PMP would provide you the required support. So we all know that we have to do these activities in order to complete our project. But how do we do it? What are the various key activities which are included? So always we see that the cost is increased for a project. It's not working within the budget. Or we listen to complaints from stakeholders. They say that I'm not able to understand what is going on in the project. A developer comes in and says the scope is changing, the requirements are changing. QA team would say, I don't find sufficient time to test. The requirements are not shared ahead. Because all this is happening due to what? Due to the key activities not performed in the way they have to be performed. So how are these key activities have to be performed? Whatever the key activities which have to be performed to complete your project, that is provided by your PMP exam. Okay, so whether it is real-time project or whether it is your IT project or whether any kind of industry you are in, the PMP certified professional would know the key activities and what are the best practices which are used to execute these phases. That is what is provided by PMP. Okay, so these key activities are termed as knowledge areas. Okay, so these are nothing but your key activities. Okay, So here I would like to pause, and I want to ask you few questions like, what do you consider as the key activities? Let's take the example. Let's say that my project is building a house. Okay, building a home, that's the project. So can you all type in your chats, what do you consider as key activities in building the project? Plan, yep. Okay, plan, house, location, okay, budget, size, okay, material, looks good, duration, yep, source of material, okay, final cost, okay, I would add that in the budget. Time, okay, I got the duration already. Okay, so let me see if I'm quality, okay, how many people, quality, yep, how many people, yep. Quality, looks good. Okay, so let's try to analyze these. Plan, house location, size, source of material. So house location and size, basically these are my requirements, right? So let me just add them, okay. Duration, yes. Material, source of material, so I can just add those two again. Source of material, okay, so let me take that out. Quality, how many people, looks good. Okay, yeah. So what is the first step? I want to build a house. It's my house. So what am I? I am giving the requirements. I am providing the requirements. So that is the first thing. I am required to monitor. I have to see what is going on with the house. I cannot just say that, okay, I want to build a house. That's it. But just saying that, nothing is going to happen. I have to be part of all these tasks, or at least I have to be the part of the end product. I have to check my house if it is built as per my requirements, right? So that person, the customer, okay, basically I am the customer. So I will give the project of building the house to someone, to some company or to some external vendor or to anyone else. So this person who is responsible to enjoy the fruits, whether it is a good fruit or whether it is completely not worth of, whatever it is. Whoever enjoys the fruit of the project, the outcome, is the stakeholder. Okay, so what that stakeholder does, everything is the key activity. So the stakeholder is a very important component. That is you yourself in this project, right? You are building your own home. Now, once the stakeholder is there, now I'm saying that, okay, I want to build a project. So what is the first thing you do? What is the first thing you do once you identify the requirement? What do we do? So what do we want to identify? Let me see if I have any answers. Okay. So for the first thing which I do is define the scope. Yes, there we are. So first thing which we do is identifying the requirements. Okay. So the first thing is identifying the requirements. I need a single floor or I need a double floor building, and it should have 4 rooms. It should have 2 halls, whatever it is. I need a marble flooring. These are all my requirements. So these requirements, right, these requirements which are identified is nothing but the scope of the project. Okay, so the customer, whoever is, will first have to identify that what are their requirements, at least on a high level, and then he can then discuss on finding the, now they have to see how many people, or you can say to whom you want to give the project to. So now you have identified your scope, at least on a high level. So what are the various activities in identifying, like whatever it is, your high level scope, then detail level scope, all that is managed. All those key activities are managed in your scope. Okay, so once you identify your scope, now comes how much does it cost? What do I need? What are the materials which are required? What is the duration? How many people are required? All these would come into that. So this house location and size, as you see, are nothing but my requirements, right? So they will be part of my requirements. So once I identify my scope, now I will have to finalize my budget. Okay, so what is this cost? What is my duration? Is nothing but my time management. When will my product be finished? Okay, so that is my time management. Okay, now now I have identified these, but might be they are on very high level. To execute this, I would need a vendor. I would need some additional vendor or some extra party to actually build the house, right? So whoever is doing that for us, so any kind of vendors or any organization or anything which I approach for, okay, to buy the product from them is procurement. Okay, so my material, source of material, so I have to buy my material, I have to finalize the vendor who would be building my house. All that is my procurement. I'm procuring the materials. I'm procuring the vendor. All that is my procurement. Now, once I have my time, cost, scope, okay, and I have the vendor would identify a person to manage the project. Okay, so that manager, so they will identify a project manager, or you can say construction manager, whatever the person title is, the project manager, any manager who is managing that. So this person has to coordinate with identifying the cost, time, scope, everything with the stakeholders. So he is basically the integration job of integrating all these tasks, all these areas, right? So the project manager would be basically building the plan, right? Now, what are the other activities? So the project manager is coordinating. I know that this is my requirement, this is my cost, this is my time. So what is the risk involved if the project is not completed in time? What is the risk involved if the budget increases? What is the risk involved if people are not available, or if the material to build the house is not available? So there are many risks, right? So all that risk management is a key activity which is missed in most of the projects. Okay, so that is a key component. So that risk has to be identified by the project manager. Okay, and as the building is built, okay, someone has to actually see that it is as per the standards. Let's say, if you just say that build a house, is that sufficient? The house should be reliable enough. The materials which are used are the industry standard materials, and based on the location, if it is an earthquake prone area, or it's a area where you need different kind of materials, the quality of the material is different. So all that measures, all that qualitative measures which have to be taken to maintain the quality is again a key component. So someone has to validate the quality of it, right? And the major component of all these activities is the persons, the people who are building the house, the workers, construction workers, or any kind of workers or associated people who are working on the project. All have to be managed. So they have to be basically managed by someone. So that is all your human resources management. Okay, so that is all your human resources management. And the building has started, the work has started, and we know the cost, we know the time, and people have started working on it. But is it just that people just come in and they start working? They just look at the cost, okay, this is the material available, so let's start building. Will that work in that way? No. We need the communication between various channels. People have to talk in between, right? So all that communication which happens between various parties, whether it is with the stakeholders, so in between you as the customer or you as a stakeholder, you would visit your site your building site and see that if work is being done in the way it is organized. So that's your communication. So the project manager or any of the human resources who are working in the project should communicate in between. Okay, so all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these 10 areas. Okay, so I can just move this plan into the scope. Okay, or I can even move that into my integration. We can just see how it is in the both sections, okay, when we move into our demo sessions. Okay, so these 10 major areas are termed as your knowledge areas. Okay, so the PMP is basically for us to look at these 5 process groups, okay, and how these 5 process groups are to be executed, are to be completed by managing these knowledge areas is your PMP. Okay, so if you want to understand the relation between your activities, irrespective of your industry, irrespective of your project type, if you want to understand the correlation between these activities, that is what the PMP provides you the right information. Okay, so as we move through our demo sessions, you would see that we are looking at these areas, a deep dive through each of these areas, and how do they collate or correspond to these 5 process groups. Okay, so just to summarize the whatever we have discussed till now. So we just looked at the project. What is a project? So as I said, it is a temporary project, temporary endeavor, which is undertaken to create a unique product. Okay, so it's a temporary nature, which means that it has a definite beginning and end. Okay, and it results into a unique product, service, or a result. So unique product, like building your national monument, is a complete unique product. But if you consider office buildings, right, they are built with the same material, same structure, or different structure. They might have a look and feel is different, but it might be built by the same vendor, same team, same resources, but still the location is different and the design is different. So that becomes a unique product. Okay, and then you are establishing your call center service, but establishing the service is a project. But once it is established, once a call center is started working, then any kind of enhancements to the call center service is all that is the operations. So we will look at into difference between project and now operations in our future sessions. Okay, now conducting any research, there might be similar researches which are done by many organizations, but every research within their company, like let's say NASA has several projects, right? So each project is unique. Like let's say it's a project to go to Mars or go to Moon. That is being done right now by n number of countries. India did it, US did it long back, China did it. If you see the end result, but it is done by different countries in their own manner. So for that country it will become a project. Okay, so all those are projects. So how are these projects, how do these projects work? So we initiate the project and then we plan and execute. While we are planning and executing, right, and once the execution is completed, we close the project. But during all these phases, we would be monitoring and controlling the project. Okay, so we have to understand each and every phase of a project. Okay, and how do we do this? How do we complete the project? As we looked at, these are our 10 knowledge areas. Okay, so as as we are moving, as we are running out of time, so I just quickly want to take your inputs. There are a few sample questions and there is a mock exam for which I will provide the link in your chat. So you can just take the exam as you are moving out. But for now, let's just look at few sample questions, like how many process groups are there? Okay, so it's a very simple question. As you see, we already looked at initiation, planning, execution, then monitor and control and close. So there are 5 process groups. So you will get a very simple question as like this in your 200 questions. So don't look at the number of questions as 200. So they are as simple as this. Few of the questions, they are very straight, direct to the point, and if you learn through and if you read through the PMP, you would be able to answer 50% of it. Very direct. Okay, and then we also have few questions like this is again, it is simple but it is not so direct again. A project is defined. So we know that a project creates a unique product, right, and any service or result. But if you see the second option, it says similar product. Okay, which might be true, it might create a similar product, but we are missing the second statement out of it. It can create a similar product, but it has to be unique for that project, which is missing. And then the third option is saying to access the repeated tasks. So anything which is repeating is not a project, because we need a unique result. We don't want to do the day-to-day activities. Okay, so we can see such small tweaks and twists in your exam. The first question was quite straightforward, but here we see that there is a small twist in the question. So that is where you have to be a bit careful. So that is where we as ITeLearn team, as you move into the live sessions, you'll see that we will be projecting so many questions, and where we would be actually discussing these questions in the live sessions every day, and then we'll provide you the mock exams. And how do we approach the question? How do we approach the question? That would be explained in your demo sessions. Okay, now if you see the next question, right? So here it's more tricky. It says when there are people from different countries and cultures in a team, what should the project manager do? So you see that when you are working on your projects, you always see that people are from different cultures, right? And they might not speak the same language. So what does a project manager do? Does he neglect the differences, or he has to deal with everyone differently? Okay, you are from this place, I don't want to talk to you. Can he rationalize in that way? Or he has to work independently with each person and mentor them, saying that we are together, we are a project, we have to do this. So what does he have to do? Okay. In such scenarios, in this, you see that the first one is opt, neglecting the cultural difference. So which is basic. We say that, okay, neglect whatever language he's talking in. Let's just concentrate on the project. That's not correct. That's a second step or a third step. But when you see such questions, the major thing what you have to do is you have to look at what is the first step the project manager has to do. Okay, so that those type of questions, these type of questions would be part of our learning session. So these type of questions, wherever you see that the answers are almost similar or you're not able to identify the answer, you just have to see what is the first step I have to take. If I am in that position, what would I do? The first answer I would get is I will have to recognize that there are cultural differences. I have to understand that if people are from different countries, they have different view. Okay, so that is the first step. I suppose you learn. Okay, so there is some technical difficulty. I'm not able to connect in. We will provide this videos in your live session. It will be available in the demo sessions will be available in the ITeLearn website. You can go through this session, and even tomorrow's session will be there. So there is a mock session which is available in the interviews section, which you can complete as you just go through the interview questions. I mean the exam questions, which are available in ITeLearn website. Okay. So looks like there is some technical difficulty. I'm not able to log into the system, but I will provide you the videos, and let's meet tomorrow in your second day demo session. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining in.